All right, welcome to the review for the Unit 2 test, solving complex or more properly multi-step equations. All right, so this unit started with reminding you about distributive properties, so this test will start with that. Right? Easy enough when you're distributing a positive here. Make sure you multiply everything in the parentheses. And here you're distributing a negative. And you are not, if you type in that answer on the test, it will be 100% wrong because you always have to simplify fully, just like you have to simplify a fraction fully. So you have to do the negative 24 plus 30, which is positive 6, so you get plus 6. Here, you're definitely going to have problems where you have to distribute a negative 1, so you make that plus 9 plus 3y. Again, you're not allowed to leave it that way. There are like terms. Negative 2y plus 3y, 1y. All right, please do not write 1y in an answer. So you write y instead. And so my eraser is not working for whatever reason. And so you're going to write y plus 9 in an answer. Here you're distributing a fraction. 1/2 of 6 is 3, so it's 3x. And 1/2 of 2 is 1. Again, you're not going to write 1y, you're going to write 3x minus y. All right? Now, when you're solving multi-step equations, the first thing, if you have parentheses in it, you typically want to clear those parentheses somehow, either with distributive property or by doing something to both sides. Then after you've done that, combine all your like terms, and typically you get the variables on one side after all that. Why? Because you have to know which side has fewer x, and you're not going to know that until you've distributed and combined your like terms. All right, so still some more distributive property here. 4/5 times x is 4/5 x. Make sure you write this x in the middle or higher, right? Where we learned that you could have also write that as 4x over 5. Most people don't, but it is the same. And so then we're doing 4/5 times this negative 10y, right? And so this will cancel, and that will become a negative 2. So 4 times negative 2 is negative 8y. And then we have 4/5 times 35. And so that's 20 plus 28. Distributing a fraction. Those expressions are equal. One is considered simpler because the parentheses are on. Okay, so this is distributive property of division. So you have to divide all those by 2. So what's x divided by 2? So you could write x over 2, or it would be also correct if you wrote 1/2 x. Negative 6y divided by 2 is negative 3y, so we're going to write minus 3y. 12 divided by 2 is 6. Both of those are correct. Distributive property of division. Then we put distributive property into equations. Here you're distributing a positive 5. Here you are distributing a negative 2. So it's 5x minus 20 minus 2x minus 2. Make sure you distribute that negative 2 right there. Most students are going to do great on these, but if there's a mistake, it's going to be right there. 5x minus 2x is 3x. Negative 20 minus 2, negative 22 equals 34. Add 22 to both sides. 3x equals 56. Is that right? Really? Did I do 56? I just want to double check that because that is correct. So we are going to add 22, 56. Sorry, so this is going to come out not so nicely. So, right, because let's go 3 into 56 goes once. 3 into 26 goes what? 3 times 8 is 24. And so this is 8. You could leave it that way. That's simplified. Or you can call it 18 2/3. And if you really wanted to make that a decimal, it'd be 18.6 repeating. Any of those is correct. Now on the test, I would not give me all three, because if any of them are wrong, I'm going to mark it points off. Pick the one you're most sure of. All right, so you're solving this. The key to this problem is you have to distribute a -1. Anytime you have a minus out there, you're going to distribute a -1, so it's minus 3x minus 7. Combine your like terms, 2x minus 7. We got a nice two-step. 23 plus 7 is 30. 30 equals 2x. Divide by 2. And 15 equals x. So this is a 2 of each item. So this is a distributive property word problem. We're going to buy 2 of each of these. 2 apples. The apples are 2x. 2 times x. Bananas are x. And the grapes are $1.50. So I'm going to write 1.5. And that all has to add up to the total of 18. Again, you could combine your like terms first or distribute. 2 times 2x is 4x. 2 times x is 2x. 2 times $1.50 is $3. And so that's 18. Combine your like terms. 6x plus 3 equals 18. Subtract 3 from both sides. 6x equals 15. Is that right? And so, just want to make sure I've got this right. And so divide both sides by 6. Okay. So now, x equals 15, 6. You cannot leave it that way because if you leave it that way, it's not simplified. But 15 divided by 3 is 5. 6 divided by 3 is 2. So x equals 5 halves, right? That you could leave normally, but this is money. I want to know the cost of bananas. I mean, you're not going to the store and say, I'd like to pay 5 halves for bananas, right? So for 4 halves is 2, so this is $2.50, right? You could say that if you wrote $2.50, but typically you would write this as $2.50. The bananas are $2.50 because that's 2.5, right? All right, so now x is on both sides. So you're going to tell me how you're going to solve this and tell me how many solutions. So you get rid of the x's where there are fewer of them, and you have 5x plus 8 equals -17, and that's plus. Then we're subtracting 8 from both sides. 5x equals -25, divide by 5. X equals -5, so there was one solution, right? The only number x could be that will make this true is -5. Here, all right, so we have combining like terms, so we're going to do that first. You don't have to do it first, but typically then once you've combined like terms, you know where there are fewer x's, so you can finish the problem more quickly. We get a two-step equation, and 11 equals x. Oh, so that was one last screen. I skipped over it, but it's one solution. So this is -7x minus 14 equals -7x plus 38. Uh-oh. You add 7x to both sides, and you get -14 equals 38. Please don't write that because it's not true. What does that mean? There was no solution. There's no value of x that will make that true. All right. You're going to replace the question mark with a number to create an equation with infinite solutions. Okay. So we have 6x minus 18. And if we distribute that, we have 2 times some amount of x minus, whoops, this is minus 18. All right, so it has to be the exact same thing on both sides to have infinite solutions. And the 18 works out. So what's going to make this 6x? Well, the question mark has to be 3, right? Because 2 times 3x will be 6x, and then the equation will have infinite solutions. All right, then we solve them for letters, and this is probably where we're going to separate the A's from the B's on the test. All right, so it says solve this for B. All right, so how do you get rid of a fraction coefficient? You multiply by the reciprocal. So we're going to multiply both sides by 2. We get 2a, that cancels out, and we have bh. Now we have to get rid of this h. That h is multiplying our b. So we're going to divide both sides by h. And so b, we solved it for b. It's 2 times a all over h equals b. Could you write b equals 2a over h as well? Yes, you could. Okay, solving for b. All right, so we have b is being multiplied by 2, and then 8a is being added to it. So we're going to do our adding, subtracting first, right? We're going to get rid of this 8a because it's a positive 8a. Even if this was minus over there, you would do this. So you'd subtract 8a from both sides. You get 2b. Now, I like to put the negative first, and you'll see in later units why we're going to do that. Yes, could you write 26 minus 8a? You could, but later in the year you won't want to, so I'm trying to get you in the habit. So now we got to get b by itself. So we have to divide both entire sides by 2. So now, problem is, normally you can leave that, but both of these are even numbers, so you can divide them by 2. So 2 goes into negative 8a, negative 4a times, right? 2, cancel the 2 with the 8. This is distributive property of division. 2 goes into 2613. So you cannot leave the 2 there. When it can divide into both of those, then you have to simplify fully. Distributive property of division. All right, absolute value equations, the last thing we did. All right, so the absolute value has been isolated. It's all by itself, and there's a positive number it equals, positive 2. So now we can solve it twice. X over 3 minus 6 equals 2, and x over 3 minus 6 equals negative 2. You add 6 to both sides. X divided by 3 equals 8. Multiply both sides by 3. One value that would make this true is 24. Add 6 to both sides on that one. X divided by 3 equals 4. Multiply both sides by 3. The other value that will make it true is 12. So there are two answers, and that is typical of an absolute value equation, that there are two solutions. All right, and so, right, we're not going to say 20 and negative 20. Why not? Because there's no way it's an isolated absolute value will ever equal negative 20. You're going to write no solution here. All right. All right, so then there's going to be, at the very end of the test, you're going to have ones where you need to isolate the absolute value first, right? So the absolute value is not isolated yet. We have to get rid of this negative 4 that's multiplying it and this plus 2 that's adding to it. So we typically do our adding, subtracting first. We get negative 4 times the absolute value of x equals negative 32. Divide both sides by negative 4. And the absolute value of x, right, equals 8. All right, so what are the two possible values of x? There's still two possible values. 8 and negative 8 are the two possible values that make that true. So it had a negative like the one before it, but you can't say no solution because that's only true when the absolute value is already isolated by itself. All right, we did these distance numbers. The distance between two numbers on a number line is 36. One of the numbers is 7. We don't know the other number, so the number minus 7, the absolute value of that equals 36. Those are the equation you're going to solve. You're going to solve it once for positive 36. You're going to solve it once for negative 36. You're going to add 7 to both sides. One number is 43. The other number is negative 29. And again, you know, you could figure this all out without this, right? We know that one of the numbers is like 7, and we're looking for a number this way, right? That's 36 away. And we're looking for a number this way that's 36 away. And we found them with an absolute value equation. The distance between two numbers is the distance between two numbers is the absolute value of their difference, difference being subtraction. Okay, that's our practice. So we're to practice. Do both of these, please. So which is equivalent? All right, so we have to simplify this. Make sure you distribute a negative 1 there. We get 5x minus 10 minus 3x plus 6 equals 26. 5x minus 3x is 2x. Negative 10 plus 6 minus 4 equals 26. Which one is it? Now on the test, there'll be 4 of them, but that's the one that has equivalent, the one who has the same answer. All right, once again, this is not isolated yet. You got to add 12 to both sides. You get the absolute value of 3x equals 12. Now you have to solve it twice. 3x equals 12. 3x equals negative 12. Divide both sides by 3. X equals 4. Divide both sides by 3. X equals negative 4. Right? And so those are the two values that will make this true. In this case, the two values were opposites, but they're not always opposites, just sometimes. So we could distribute. You can do this any way you want, but by the standard, you have to know the other way to do it. You could distribute the 1/2 and distribute the 1/4 and do it that way, or you can cancel those fractions right away. So what would you do to cancel those fractions right away? Well, you'd multiply both entire sides by 4. And by doing that, all you have to do is multiply the fraction out there. So this 2 becomes canceled, and that becomes a 2, and we get 2 times x minus 10. This 4 cancels with this 4, equals, and it's 1 times 2x minus 20. So you get 2x minus 20 equals 2x minus 20. Uh-oh, that's an identity, we call that. We have the exact same thing on both sides. And so what that means, we have infinite solutions, right? If you get a true statement, you get infinite, I got to spell infinite correctly, infinite solutions. And, if you do it the other way, you distribute first, and you get the 1/2 x minus 5 equals 1/4 times 2x and 1/2 x minus 5. And so you'd actually, distributing it here, you would see the identity all the sooner. And then you could clear the fractions. But here, really, you could realize, well, if I subtract 1/2 x from both sides, I get negative 5 equals negative 5. I still get an identity. I still get infinite solutions. All right, area. How do you find the area? Length times width or base times height. So we're going to multiply these two sides. The key to this is you have to know that you need parentheses there. And we've been told the area is 90. You're working backwards to find this missing information. Distributive property, 12x plus 18 equals 90. Subtract 18 from both sides. 12x equals what? 72. Divide both sides by 12. And x equals 6. And there's no units here. But what does that mean? This side was 2 times 6 is 12 plus 3 was 15. Okay, good luck on the test. Do not start the test until you are 100% sure you are ready to take it. Good luck.